The Chicago Bulls are not legit this year. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Emmanuel Camia. On here, I talk about basketball. Primarily, I talk about things relating to the NBA. I give my thoughts, opinions, takes. So if you're into that kind of thing, then this is the channel for you. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and drop a like for the algorithm, and let's jump into this video. So as we all know, this year, the Chicago Bulls took the NBA world by storm. And why is that? Because they shot up to the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. An Eastern Conference, mind you, that I have been saying for the last month or two now that it is stronger than it used to be. It is not just that old little weak conference that LeBron used to take, you know, his sweet time getting to the NBA finals, hopping his way to the finals year in, year out for 8 years straight. No, it is a stronger conference. And that is why the Chicago Bulls, you know, became relevant this year. And that is obviously a shock because last year, the Chicago Bulls were horrendous. The Chicago Bulls were really bad. And they ended up finishing last season with a record of 31-41. 10 games below 500. Of course, as we all know, last offseason was very eventful, in which Russell Westbrook was sent to the Lakers. But in that same offseason, the Bulls went out and they made a move that I think, in my opinion, is probably their best move ever since Michael Jordan played for them. And that move was they went out and they got Lonzo Ball from the New Orleans Pelicans, and then they got Demar Derozan from the San Antonio Spurs, and that changed everything for them. This not only changed the Chicago Bulls organization, but it also revived DeMar DeRozan's career. DeMar went from not being an all-star last year on the Spurs to being a front runner for the MVP this year on the Chicago Bulls. Now, if you're interested in DeMar DeRozan's MVP prospects and you are wondering where I think he ranks in the MVP race, I will leave 2 links in the description to a video in which I made of who I think the MVP is, and then a ratification of that video called DeMar DeRozan should be a front runner for the MVP. Those 2 videos are very great watches. I suggest you go and watch them. I'll leave a link in the description below. But anyways, the Bulls have found a lot of success this season thanks to their pseudo big 3 of Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan. But there's been a lot of questionable elements to the Chicago Bulls that have come to light recently. You see, while the Bulls on the surface may look like they are a formidable foe for any team to face, that is only true for certain kinds of teams, lesser caliber teams, to be precise. The Bulls are currently 41-26, 4th in the Eastern Conference, and that is good enough to be a playoff prospect. They're going to make the playoffs this year. But it seems that is going to be all for them. That is going to be their ceiling. They're not going to be contenders. They're just going to be a playoff team. And why do I say that? Well, I say that because of this graphic right here. This, to me, is very interesting. It was a stat that I came across the other day when I was scrolling through Sportsnet. And the stat reads this: the Bulls are 0-14 versus the top 3 seeds in both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. And this is a very interesting stat to me, and it got me thinking, are the Bulls really legit? I was one of the forefront people to say that the Bulls are really good, but that statistic, that graphic changed my whole perspective on the Chicago Bulls. And that statistic is very alarming to me because it shatters the perception and everything I thought the Chicago Bulls were. What does it tell me? It tells me that although the Chicago Bulls are a good team, they're not legit. They're a good regular season team, and that might be it. That might be all. They're not legit. And what do I mean by legit? I mean that they actually don't have a legitimate chance of being championships this year. I'm sorry to break the hearts of Chicago Bulls fans all over. I'm really sorry. I too was rooting for the Chicago Bulls team. Go to my channel and look at all the videos I made about them. I really want the Chicago Bulls to return, and I like where they are right now, but they are not legit in a sense that I thought they were. To me, if you're not able to beat the top 3 teams in any of the conferences, then you might as well pack it up. Call yourself a playoff team, but don't call yourself a contender. Because if you cannot beat Miami, Philly, Phoenix, Golden State, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn in the regular season, then what makes you think that you are going to be able to beat either of those teams, any of those teams, 4 times in a span of 2 weeks. It just isn't going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen for the Chicago Bulls. To me, a team is judged on how well they are when you compare them to their relative counterparts and not just their record. And what do I mean by their relative counterparts? I mean, how do they measure up? How do they stack up against teams that are in their stratosphere, that are the same kind of in the same realm, in the same range that they are? And the way that we're measuring the same stratosphere is, of course, the top 3 seeds in each conference. While Chicago Bulls might be number 4 right now in the standings, for the majority of the season thus far, they've been the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. So relatively, you have to compare them to those guys, to those teams, right? And the Chicago Bulls come up short, and that is an understatement to say the least. Like, they come up extremely short, and that's not just an opinion. The numbers back that up, right? So on a surface, while the Chicago Bulls may look really good, they are probably just a really good regular season team. And their ceiling this year, their cap this year might be that they're probably going to enter the playoffs, and they're probably going to win a playoff series, one playoff series against a lower seed team, and then they're going to get into the second round, and that's probably where they're going to get bounced out. And I think that is their ceiling this season. It is imperative that I specify that that is for this season only, because that may not be their ceiling forever. Listen, I think the Bulls made the right move by going out and getting Demar Derozan and Lonzo Ball and adding them to their roster and pairing those two up with Zach LaVine. But the reality is, champions aren't made overnight. Even when LeBron went to the Los Angeles Lakers, it took him a year to win. Even when LeBron went to Miami, it took him a year to win. When LeBron came back to Cleveland, it took him a year to win. It took him at least a year to win, or more. And the takeaway from that is that champions aren't made overnight. They're not made over one season, and it's gonna take some time to get there, right? There's still room to improve and go out and get pieces to help the team and surround DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, with complementary pieces. To me, there's good news and bad news. And since I'm a cynic, I'm gonna start with the bad news first. The bad news is that the Chicago Bulls are not there yet, and they are, just a middle of the pack team this year. They're not as good as I thought they were going to be. They're not the juggernaut I thought they were going to be. The good news is, although they're not there yet, and they've gone a long way, at least they're on the right path. They're on the right path to winning a championship. I can see them winning a championship within the next 3 years. And although they may not reach their destination this year, they're probably going to reach it in the near future, right? Also, another good news is this, right? You Bulls fan, you guys thought I was just gonna leave you guys hanging. You thought I was just gonna, give you guys, bad news and walk away. But nah, I'm telling you, I want the Bulls to win. The other good news is this, right? The Bulls still have some young talent that they're developing that's going to be really good for them. And that talent is going to be really good for them in that time span that I just mentioned, that 3-year time span. Kobe White, I know he can play. Right? And he's not come into his own yet, right? And another thing is, DeMar DeRozan's only 32. Right? He has at least, at the bare minimum, 3 years of playing really high caliber basketball. Zach LaVine is only 27. He just hit his prime. Right? He has, I think, 8 years of being in his prime, of playing peak basketball. Right? Lonzo Ball is also going to start getting better and better and better too. So those guys still have some time to work together to try and bring a championship to Chicago. And like I said, it only gets better once Kobe White comes into his prime. Because then now you have DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, Kobe White in your starting 5. And that's going to be one of the best starting 5s in the NBA. Like I said, I know Kobe can play. I've seen him play. He's really good. Right? But again, those are just my thoughts. I don't think the Chicago Bulls are a legitimate contender this year. That is the premise of this video, right? And I don't think I'm making this just to hate on the Chicago Bulls. But those are just my thoughts. So guys, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thumbs up this video for the algorithm. Click here to watch what I thought of the Nets absolutely destroying the 76ers on their home floor. And until next time, kids.